Hey guys, hello everyone. My name is Stan Singh and I'm a second year student at IIT BHU and welcome to the third episode of my podcast. So, before starting this podcast, I want to share a small incident with you that happened to me today. So, I actually made a group with my juniors today morning and I introduced myself in that group, and then my juniors started introducing themselves, and then one junior types, so dancing bhaiya, when is the next episode coming out? Good podcast. And yeah, so thank you for this good gesture. And it was overwhelming, and it just feels good. It motivates me to record the next episode, and it gives me a good start for the next episode. So yes, thank you for such messages to each and everyone, and thank you for the overwhelming response to this podcast. And now let's begin with today's episode. So in today's episode, I want to talk about stability. Why exactly do I want to talk about stability? Because last week I have talked with a lot of my seniors, and I've been talking to them from a very long time on the topic of internships and placements. What should I prepare for internship, or what should I prepare for placements, and all of that. And in this episode, I just want to, and everything boils down to stability. Why do you need to prepare for these? For the sake of stability. So I wanted to actually put in my thoughts to this and what I think about it, because I feel I it's important for me to get clarity over this topic, and the best way to do that is to actually talk in front of a camera and try to put out everything I know about this and everything I feel about this, so that this topic becomes clear in my head. And yeah, that's the agenda of today, talking about stability. And if any senior is watching this, then I'm not kind of disregarding your advice or putting your advice at a lower pedestal. No, that's not the purpose of this podcast. The purpose of this podcast for is to get more clarity about myself. I want to understand myself better, and the best way to understand yourself is to speak in front of a camera, and that's what I'm doing in this podcast. So it's not disregarding you, or it's not disregarding your advice. Your advice actually gives me a lot of perspective as well. So yeah, it's nothing like that. So to all the seniors, please don't take it personally. And now let's start. So the first thing, like, my internship season is literally one semester away, and uh, and whenever I have discussion with any of my seniors, the first topic of discussion is, what are you preparing for, what role are you preparing for? And I honestly don't have an answer to this, because I don't know what role I am preparing for, and I don't even know what role I want to prepare for. And then they tell me to do certain things, at least do this much. And I know they are telling me for my own good, but I ask them the question, why should I do this much? And the answer to that is, at least do the bare minimum to get a job or an internship. And then my same question is, if I do the bare minimum to get an internship or a job, I and I get an internship or a job. Let's talk about internships now. I do bare minimum to get into an internship. I get into the internship. Then to work in the internship, I need to either give the best work, and if I again take in this bare minimum logic and be like, I'll do the bare minimum again, I might not get a PPO. And if I get a PPO as well, I to stay in the job, I need to keep doing the bare minimum. And if I keep doing repeating this again and again, doing the bare minimum, first thing, I'm not getting growth, because for getting growth, you can't end up doing bare minimum every time. And the second thing is that I will never get time to actually find out what I want to do, find out fulfillment. And that is one purpose of life. Like, you want to find out fulfillment in your life. And what exactly is fulfillment in life? For me, fulfillment in life is being happy, adding value in the society, and feeling respected. These three things, if they are there in your life, you are kind of you can say it's fulfillment. And when will I exactly find this in my life? If I have to keep working to get a backup at each and every point And that is what is my question. Isn't this kind of a loop? Before class 12, we were told that get a good college, you'll have a good backup, and then you can figure out what you want to do, what keeps you happy, and the work that serves the entire purpose of life. But then we come to college and we are again sold this logic that now get into a job and then you can figure out things out. But honestly, isn't this just the same loop repeating itself again and again, again and again? And then when exactly is the right time to find fulfillment or find what you want to do in life? You can call it passion, you can call it the work that makes you happy, you can call it work that adds value to the society. When exactly will you get that time? Because when you get into a job, you need to do that job, and then when you get married, then you have another responsibility, so you'll end up continuing that job. And my question is, when are you going to leave this? When are you going to break this loop to actually do what you want to do, if you have figured that out, or break this loop to actually figure out what you want to do? And uh, this is the dilemma I'm genuinely in, that what should I do? And I don't have an answer to that, and I honestly don't think there's a proper answer to this. And uh, that's what I tell everyone whenever I have a discussion on this topic, and then they end up telling that what about stability? You need stability, right? The job will give you stability, and stability will ensure that you kind of uh, get you kind of harness the opportunity to find what you want to do, and apparently stability ensures that. But according to me, what stability is? Stability is to achieve something on a regular basis. For example, achieving your salary on a regular basis, achieving money on a regular basis, or achieving a particular lifestyle that you want on a regular basis. That's stability to me. So over here, if you look at the concept of stability, isn't it return oriented? Isn't stability just chasing short term returns? Yeah, like if you look in the pure senses, like if you try to understand what stability is, it's just chasing returns on a short term basis, chasing short term returns. And isn't this a return oriented mindset? Like from the time when, from childhood, like from the time we have been children, we have always been told that कर्म करो और फल की चिंता मत करो, right? But this defies that whole logic, because over here we are talking about stability, which is basically running behind short-term returns. So is stability actually important? Is stability something that we should run behind? That is the new question now. And honestly, I don't know the right answer to it, or but what I feel about it is that stability is like picking up the apple and dropping the pie that you wanted. Picking up apples and dropping the pie that you wanted, and you'll end up collecting apples, more and more amount of apples, but you'll never actually reach to the pie if you keep continuing this. And this is what I think stability is about, and risk is about running behind the pie and letting go of the apples that are there in the way. That is risk. So if we look at it, if we look at this in different words, risk is basically running behind long-term returns, and stability is basically running behind short-term returns. Now, if I compare it with stock markets, in stock markets, investors usually end up getting higher returns than traders, and this is a stat. It's proven by data. It's proven by time. And I feel the same thing happens in life. Life gives higher returns to people who think long term, the people who run behind long term returns, and kind of sacrificing the short term returns for that. And I feel this is kind of something that separates successful people from average ones, because uh, looking at long term returns is something that's not taught to us, that's not programmed into us from the childhood, and that's not something that our brain digests so naturally. Our brain never digests super linear growth. Our brain digests linear growth. There's a article which Paul Graham wrote on super linear growth, and it's just an amazing article. You can go search it up online, just type super linear growth by Paul Graham, and that article talks about how exactly humans cannot like imagine how super linear growth works, and how things just compound so fast, and how actually life is not about this linear growth. But when we talk about our career, or we talk about a choice that we want to make in life, we always consider the factor of linear growth to be higher than the factor of super linear growth. And I guess that's the mistake that we all end up doing, and that's what separates us from the successful people. I'm talking about people who are successful in terms of obviously wealth. And if you notice this, the people who are successful in terms of wealth kind of try to, when they become wealthy, they figure out ways of being successful in other aspects of life as well. So if we honestly look at the most important thing for a person who's in their 20s, is basically in their early 20s, is basically three things: relationships, health, and wealth. These are the three things, and I feel all three are equally important, because if your relationships are not sorted, and I'm talking about relationships with your family, with your parents, and all of them, it's not the relationship that you're thinking about. If your relationship is not sorted, you'll kind of not be able to be in a good mental state, and not having a good mental state will obviously affect your physical health as well. And if your physical health, your mental state, your relationships, everything goes on a toss, then you'll be not be able to focus on your work, and you'll basically end up messing up your wealth as well. So these three things are something that should be at the highest priority for everyone in their early 20s, and that's what I have kept at my highest priority as well. So at present, I share almost everything with my mom, and this actually helps me calm myself down. This actually helps me be calm, be steady, take decisions in a much more steady manner. And this is something that kind of makes me feel happy as well. So sharing everything with my mom is one thing that I do on a regular basis. I try to increase the transparency between my thoughts and her thoughts, and this just helps me get more freedom on what I'm doing, because now she understands what I'm doing and what I plan to do in future. And I feel that transparency is it is very important to keep that transparency with your parents, because if you don't keep that transparency with your parents and try to be a bit opaque with your parents, then your parents can't support you even if they want to support you, because they don't know what you want to do, they don't know how you think, and uh, it's not in their hands now. And it's probably your mistake that you haven't shared things with them. So yeah, this is one thing I've been practicing for the past 20 days, to share each and everything I do with my mom on a daily basis actually. And yeah, it has helped me calm myself down and helped me feel better, so I'll be continuing this. And for health, I have been walking daily for around 1.5 hours with a podcast playing on my phone, and I'm just hearing to that podcast. And this actually helps me a lot. This is like a experience of therapy for me. So I do these two things on a daily basis to actually maintain my relationship with my mom and maintain my health. And yeah, and for the wealth part, I'm trying to just figure out things. I'm trying different things out. I'm doing a lot of things, and I'm a firm believer of asymmetric returns, returns that cannot be measured. See, things that happen long term cannot be measured by the human brain. Human brain is not made to imagine compounded growth, is not made to imagine linear growth, super linear growth. It's made to imagine the linear growth. So symmetric returns are something that we can measure, but asymmetric returns are something that we cannot measure. So I'm just doing a lot of things and increasing the surface area of getting asymmetric returns. And I don't know what is going to give me return or what is not going to give me return, but I'll just continue to do the things because I'm enjoying the process. I just enjoy, like currently I'm just recording myself, speaking to myself, and kind of speaking on a particular topic to myself. So I enjoy doing this, and this is just something that calms me down. And so yeah, I'll continue doing this even though if I'm not getting returns. And the second thing that I do is read books. Now, reading books don't give you direct returns, but it's fun reading books. You enjoy reading books when you learn something new, and that those things might be of some use at some point of your life. So you don't know, they can give returns to you at any point of your life. I hear podcasts. Now the same reasoning, you get to learn something new, you might end up using it at some point of your life. I talk to more and more people on social media through Twitter, and honestly, there's no return that I'm getting through that process by having a Google Meet with someone who I met on Twitter. But it might end up but someday might have a meet with someone and then start something with them, and then or start something with someone in future, and that might end up giving me some return. So you cannot predict asymmetric returns. Anything can happen. Your Twitter account might blow up, your Instagram account might blow up, your YouTube channel might blow up. Anything can actually blow up. And this is what I mean by asymmetric returns. Cold emailing is one form of increasing the surface area for your asymmetric returns. Suppose you get a reply from someone on your cold email, and then there's a trail of emails between both of you, and you end up starting something with that other person, or you end up working with that other person. So that you might have missed on that opportunity because you never wrote a cold email. So yeah, cold emailing is one. Cold DMing people on LinkedIn, putting out stuff on LinkedIn is another way to increase the surface area to get asymmetric returns. And that's what I'm doing at present, and that's what I'm doing. And along with that, I'm working on my own startup Zenit. So yeah, that's also a way to actually increase the surface area to get asymmetric returns. As many great people say that you're not lucky by birth, you need to make your own luck, and the best way to make your own luck is to try multiple things, to do as many things as possible, and to be visible to almost everyone. And the best way to be visible to everyone is to be on social media, and just have a social media presence that shows your personality. And why do I record these podcasts? One reason is that it kind of gives clarity to myself when I record myself in front of a camera. So like when I talk in front of a camera on a particular topic, I get clarity over that topic in my own head. The second reason is this podcast shows how I think, shows how I speak in front of a camera, shows how I convey my thoughts. And over time, this skill of conveying my thoughts is going to increase when I keep practicing this skill on a weekly basis. And as this skill keeps on increasing, there will be people who might end up noticing this podcast, hearing this podcast, or watching this podcast on YouTube, and they might be like, oh, this person has a skill, we could do something with him. And not this is not going to happen very soon, but this might happen, and it's a way to increase the surface area of getting asymmetric returns. And that's my whole point, that kind of focusing on symmetric returns are good, but focusing on symmetric returns for stability is just like running behind short term goals, and that won't take you far. That's what everyone does, and what everyone doesn't do is think long term and kind of imagine themselves after 10 years, after 15 years. And I guess that matters more. I guess uh, those long term results are something that you cannot sacrifice for the short term results. You cannot sacrifice the pie for getting the apple. You need to do the opposite. You need to get the pie and sacrifice the apple. And yeah, that's it. That's what I feel about stability. That's what I feel about risks. That's what I feel about symmetric returns, asymmetric returns. And yeah, so at present, my current mindset, my current thought process is that I will be thinking long term, and I won't kind of focus on the short term goals, short term returns. And yeah, the main thing is to be like, okay, I am willing to sacrifice the short term returns for the long term ones. And yeah, that's how I'm thinking at present. That's what my process is for now. And yeah, that's it for today's episode. I hope you liked today's episode as well. And your response is genuinely very overwhelming, so thank you for that amazing response on my podcast till now. I'm hoping for this the same response in the future episodes as well. And that's it. Bye. Meet you in the next episode.